Welcome to another episode of Lost in the Script TV.
Some of them going to sleep. Fuck God!
Hopefully you had a good week, stress-free week as possible. As always, question, why do we protect our villains? Episode 222. How y'all doing? Yeah, a lot to get to. I'm seeing so many things on social media. That's just, I don't know if it's just me getting older now, where I'm just getting mad at just stuff I just deem to be so stupid. We got a couple stupid topics to get to later on, and then we got to start with something that should be a celebration, but unfortunately is marred by so many controversies and allegations that we got to tell the truth and how things pass through our culture and go unknown for decades, and then when these people die, people are surprised to find out what they were really into, and then it's just all crazy, man. We're gonna get to it though. Hopefully y'all good. Make sure everything is right. Give me a second. Hold on. All right, we should be good. Getting right into it. The start of this, the center of this, which is the situation. Hip hop pioneer Afrika Bambaataa dies at age 68. Obviously, the headline tells it all. Afrika Bambaataa was obviously a pioneer of hip hop. Somebody who had great influence, not just in hip hop, but Black culture, obviously what it ended up leading to. Obviously the founder or the leader of the Universal Zulu Nation. You hear the story about Afrika Bambaataa. Started off, at least his story that he gives, as pretty much a hoodlum, a little dude running around. He rose the ranks, became a warlord. And as he got older, he had a change and he decided to try and push creative expression amongst the Black youth, and loving your brother and your sister, all that other stuff he supposedly was supposed to be teaching. And now I found out later he was had a lot of allegations against him for them same boys he was supposedly trying to help and save from the streets. He actually was leading them to more just as negative situations when it come to what led to their mental health when dealing with him because of the alleged abuse. Well, not even alleged, the abuse that he was inflicting upon them. As you can see here, Afrika Bambaataa, man, widely considered one of the main pioneers of hip hop, died in Pennsylvania of prostate cancer on Thursday, according to his lawyer. He was 68. Bambaataa's sudden death was met with an outpouring of condolences from friends, family, and fans across the world who paid tribute to his profound and unmistakable impact as one of the most popular and politically influential music genres. But others have said that his impact was overshadowed in recent years after numerous men who knew Bambaataa when they were boys accused him of sexual abuse. Obviously, Planet Rock is the song that around the early 80s that he did that kind of shifted what hip hop was. When you talk about people pushing I guess you can call it pro-Black nationalism or the Pan-African aesthetic that kind of came from him. Has been a leader of the Zulu Nation here, and like I said, he was somebody who was supposed to have been a leader, but it turns out he was doing just as much damage to the youth as he would say the streets was. And then you see when these people came out with these stories. The first time I heard about this was a couple years. It was actually Hassan Campbell. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play something with Hassan Campbell right quick. Let me play this.
I just want to take the time out to say, rest in peace to the greatest child predator who ever walked this earth, Afrika Bambaataa. Before there was an Epstein list, there was an Afrika Bambaataa's Black Book. Before there was an R. Kelly, my mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yeah. Yeah, before there was an R. Kelly, raised by Dr. York, one of the greatest predators that ever walked this earth. Rest in peace to Afrika Bambaataa, the greatest child predator ever. I'm going live at 5.
Shout out to Hassan Campbell. He was the first person. I'm not saying he was the first person actually, but he was the first person I heard come out and tell the world what Afrika Bambaataa did. In detail. He told it in detail what he was doing to young boys, 12, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, how he wasn't just sexually abusing these young boys. He was turning them into, he was surrounding himself with troubled youth who were in the streets, and he was taking what they know, which is the streets, and using them for muscle. And he put it under the banner of the Zulu Nation thing, and pretty much became a cult leader. So shout out to Hassan Campbell, because we live in such a strange society, and our culture has been so corrosive at this point, that a man could come out, give detail on how another man who has great influence over the culture committed atrocities, and somehow people would turn that man into a joke. Somehow that man, for some reason, don't get taken seriously. He actually becomes a joke to everybody else. The fact that the information that Hassan and other people gave out publicly about what he was doing, and then obviously we had the lawsuit, which he ended up losing, or at least he didn't show up to court, so they just default judgment, civil case. They knew about this going on for decades. As they say, it was a kind of an open secret that he was doing this stuff. And some people didn't want to say anything because he had some real gangsters, some real killers around him that if you talk a certain way about this, or if you try to do certain things, it can lead to some violence coming your way. You getting killed. Hassan Campbell has told many times how many shootouts and stuff he's been in, and it's because the man who was supposed to be saving him from the streets simply gave him a target. He didn't actually try to take him out of it. So how does these type of things survive in the culture? Because it's really messed up when you think about the fact that Afrika Bambaataa was supposed to be taking these young black men and helping them take their frustration and anger out from the streets and use it into some type of creative expression. Hip hop. Hey, I want to realign you politically. That's like I said, we get the Pan-African aesthetic. We get this black nationalism type thing going on. A person who's supposed to be building something like that, a genre that was built for that, and it turns out that one of the people who was a pioneer of it was doing this type of stuff behind the scenes. What does that say that because we don't want to tear it down, or in fear of what could happen to us, we allow things to go like this, go on for decades? He actually get protected. We've seen KRS-One and all these other rappers from that age, and certain other people with a name back then, defending people like Afrika Bambaataa, which there's nothing to defend. It's crazy. Shout out to Honorable. Hey, everybody, great influence is subjective. No, we can't try to sugarcoat Afrika Bambaataa's influence on this, at least in the story that they've given. Obviously, I know that when we look back now, when we talk about hip hop and how it started, a lot of the stories they're telling don't add up. A lot of the people they're giving credit to, when you start peeling it back and interviewing people that was there during that time, they're saying certain things are lies, certain things are not, all the way 100. Some things are exaggerated. Like Afrika Bambaataa is giving credit. He's a Jamaican. He's Jamaican and it's people from Jamaica and Barbados, I think. So he's credited with giving the name hip hop, even though the term hip hop wasn't new. He didn't invent that term. Hip hop was already being said. It was just said in a different context. He simply labeled the music that was being made hip hop. You know, he's trying to change the variation that existed. So a person who was given credit for naming the genre, the head or the leader of the Universal Zulu Nation, I think we can say that person had great influence. Like, it's kind of hard considering what the Zulu Nation turned into. Like I said, going through the 80s and the 90s, how much it influenced so much. Like, it was influential. But that's the sad part, because it ain't just people like Afrika Bambaataa. Obviously, we saw here that apparently he was great friend or a mentee, I don't know, of Dr. York, Malachi York. We know what he was into, another cult leader who used his influence to prey on other black people, supposedly trying to teach or help people get liberation and separate themselves from a oppressive system. And all they do is oppress them themselves. But that's people who are trying, broken people who are trying to fix themselves and think they have the answers. So you got multiple instances of people of great influence who end up, R. Kelly. Even though R. Kelly's situation is a little different because we have parents actively helping send their children to be preyed upon, and somehow no justice came their way. And then the rest of the people get accused of protecting him. And they're like, no, what happened with Afrika Bambaataa was true protection. Like, it's crazy. It's something, I'm going to go in a little bit later, especially. But it's something really wrong when you go on social media, and I see most people, luckily, and it should be a baseline thing. It shouldn't even be something that's surprising. Luckily, we see in most situations, you see people online, kicking his back in as they should, telling the truth and making sure that things don't get overwritten and the truth gets told. But the fact that you have anybody defending this man because, of his impact over hip hop, it's like, bro, that don't matter. It shouldn't matter at this point. There's no way you can say that musical influence should override what he did with those young men. Which goes into a whole other story, how these type of things happening, and especially when it's young black boys, it's just treated so weird. Like I said about Hassan Campbell, you got dudes justifying Hassan Campbell at 15, saying that he was sexually abused by Afrika Bambaataa and telling him that, man, you was too old to be letting that happen. Now, ignoring the fact that he's known this man for years. This is a man who's put money in his pocket and clearly grooming him. Just ignoring certain aspects of this so that they can just clown him. I never forget Sinful to P. Rest in peace to Sinful to P, the pimp. Funny dude. He was one of the people that got in the back and forth with Hassan Campbell, and he gave him a name that was so diabolical. And it stuck. And even then when I heard it, I mean, something funny is something funny, but then when you really think about it, it's sad. He referred to Hassan Campbell as sugar thighs. And the reason why he referred to him as that is because Hassan said that is the way that Afrika Bambaataa would sexually assault the young boys he would deal with. He would not penetrate them because I guess he didn't want to leave evidence. And and the jokes and the memes just ran, and it's just like, man, who people like and don't like really dictate whether they care about certain things. Like, this is I don't know about Hassan Campbell case, but these are young black boys who were being abused, neglected at such an early age, and it wasn't taken serious at all. And then when you look at the rates of which this happens, you see why some of these men some of these young boys grow up and become complete terrorists of their own community. Like, when you see stuff like this right here, when you see stuff that says that black children have the highest rates of abuse, and you try to dig into the numbers more and see how often it happens to young black boys especially. Obviously, young black girls, all of it is wrong. Then you get stuff like this. Black children have the highest rate of fatal maltreatment, and rates are increasing. These studies been done on how young black kids are just completely unprotected. It's crazy. What up, Craig? He said Simple to P. Wow for that one, bruh. And I didn't want to say it because it's a lot more he said. So many jokes. And let me say this too. in Simple P's, I don't want to say defense, but what was going on was it was one of those internet back and forths that Hassan Campbell he does those type of things. Obviously, he's at the end of the day, he's a internet influencer, he's an entertainer. So even though he's saying some real stuff when he talks about the abuse of kids in the black community, when he talks about, or kids in general, when he talks about certain cancerous things, a part of black culture, that's real stuff, but he tries to do it in an entertaining way. So he gets into these back and forths with other creators. And he took a big L to Sinful P. I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty bad. But the jokes he was making was all pertaining to his abuse. All of it. And we got to start calling it out. Like, at some point, do we care? Because when we see these stories that pop up on social media, on these platforms, and it talks about some black kid in a foster home being abused by some white people. Remember that story a few years ago? Well, I think it was out here in Washington, or maybe it was in Oregon, where these two white people adopted these black kids and had them living in a barn, pretty much as slaves, chained up, had them working and stuff. And people get mad and they want justice for that, as they should. But then you hear a man tell you, hey, at the time at least, this man who's alive, who has great influence in the culture, was abusing children. And it's not received the same level of, and I ain't want to sound like those typical black conservatives who make the argument, or black people don't care about something unless white people do. I don't always agree with what they're saying, but in some instances, it's not wrong. We don't get up as fast and get in the streets and march in our own neighborhoods as fast as we do when it's a black person commit the atrocities against ourselves. Like, why are we why wasn't the second Hassan said this, the second that trial was over and the default judgment came, why wasn't he completely drugged through the mud then? He got to live a long life and die of not natural, but a sickness. He died of cancer. We got to do better, man. Chris said, I remember that. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stories that pop up. Remember the story of the lesbian couple who had the young black boy, and there was a viral picture of him smiling in the picture, and then however much time later, they drove off a ravine with the kids in it and did a whole murder-suicide. And then people went back and looked at that picture and saw the little black boy was balling his fists up in the picture while he was smiling, showing that there was some type of tension there. Probably was signs of abuse. It's like, well, there's plenty of black people abusing their kids we need to talk about. But unfortunately, it always takes until one of them people that commit all this sick stuff, when they die, then it's out. Then it's talked about. But and like I said, the kids are the ones that are most unprotected. There was a viral debate. I won't say viral. There was a debate on my timeline that I saw. It was they were talking about black nerds, if you will. They were talking about black nerds and how coming up in the 90s, you got treated a certain way for being different or being interested in certain other hobbies and stuff, anime and all that other stuff. Regular conversation you see from some people get online. And a woman made a point about the distinction between young black girls who into that stuff and young black boys. And then another dude responded and said, young black boys are neglected. And he said something to that effect. Young black boys are neglected and stuff, and education and stuff like that. Oh, the girl said that there's more black female nerds than black male nerds. And they argued about this for days. About, no, black boys aren't neglected in school. That's not what's happening. It's all decision making. Keep in mind, this sounds very much like what you hear from the conservative side. That there's the environment and all the other stuff is not as big an impactor as individual decision. So the school to prison pipeline ain't really real then. Well, then this right here, funny enough, popped up on my timeline. I want to show this. This popped up. Chicago Teachers Union president confesses we do politics so black women can live without husbands. I'm going to play what she had to say. This is the Teachers Union president, Chicago Teachers Union president. Let me play what he had to say.
You say you're not a political organization. Now, granted, they're conservative groups. that have put this out, but I mean, there was one study that showed 80% of your spending is on political activity. You're a political party.
Our activity in this union is to secure contracts that provide smaller classes all across the city with limits for the first time ever. Our political activity is to ensure that Black students have a success plan.
You said Black students.
In order to undo the harm of years of marginal educational opportunities. Our political activity is to make sure that our lowest wage workers, Black women who live on the south and west sides of Chicago, have a wage in which they can pay their rent, they can go to the grocery store, and that they can maintain a standard of living. Our political work is to ensure that women have the ability to sustain life without a husband.
This is a teachers union president telling you that they invest 80% of the funds they get into politics so they can make sure that women can have a stable living without husbands. Now, just off the trickle down of that, if your political fundings lean towards women, right, and you're a teachers union president, that means a trickling down of that leads to help young girls. What about the boys? I've seen so many teachers get online, women teachers, and speak on the reading levels, particularly of young Black boys. And some of them said in a, red flag, hey, we need to do something about this. Our boys, they're struggling. We need to do something, not reading the proper levels. Yeah, most is that. But then you'll see some women who will almost use the falling behind of Black boys as in a mocking tone to big up the young Black girls who are doing at least better than the Black boys. Both are still at the bottom, but at least they're doing better than the boys. Chris says, keeping the gender war alive is big business. And I'm glad you said big business. Remember when George Floyd was killed and there was this outpouring of support from all these corporations, banks, entertainment agencies, Fortune 500 companies. All these companies came out and said how they was going to give so much money, promise all this money to the Black community. The funding, this is from degree of the funding boom from Black-led nonprofits after George Floyd's murder didn't last. New data from Candid and ABFE shows that most racial justice investments faded quickly and favored larger organizations. What people don't want to say out loud, like as much as we talk about, Black Lives Matter, how it pretty much became at least the organization turned into a piggy bank for the people who was running it. These women took that money and bought houses and shit. We saw what they did. What people don't talk about is when the corporation started promising all this money, a lot of them was hiring particularly Black women and some gay Black men, but mainly Black women, as they were hiring them as like racial teachers or something. Teach us how to not be racist, pretty much. Teach us what to invest in and prove as a company that we're trying to step forward and help the Black community. It was mainly Black women. I forgot what bank it was. Maybe y'all remember. There was a bank that promised $100 million to invest in Black people. No, I'm wrong. It was a bank that promised to invest $100 million into Black women. And the reason why so many of these companies was saying, at least, because none of them really did it, was saying that they were going to promise to invest money into Black women, is because the people they were doing the negotiations with, asking what they should do, was telling them to put the money towards Black women, not the Black community. These people found a way to use this to get jobs for themselves and other women and gays, and then allow the money to trickle down into some local funds for scholarships and stuff for Black girls. They turned a Black men's death into a come up for some Black women, gays, and even women of color, as they say. They turned the death of Black men into a gender war to get money for them. Remember when they was doing the whole George Floyd during the George Floyd thing when the woman was killed in her house, the black woman was killed in her house, and they said that we're not talking, the say her name thing started. And said we're not focusing on her enough. Like, this is the game these people play. And then you see that there's pretty much been a complete divestment from young black boys. We're not talking about grown men. We're talking about young black boys. Boys. They're completely left in the dust. And I understand the critique to put a lot of the onus on black men not being mentors and going out into the community and what we deem to be doing more to help them. But it's a lot of black men that feel like, hey, if I've got my son, or my kid, should I say, and I'm doing right by them, anything I do outside of that should be considered extra. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just the thought process. But when you look at a lot of black women, when they go into these college campuses and they make sure they start programs and they start these conventions, and yeah, we want young black women to come here. We're going to mentor them and help them to the next level to get a stronger career or whatever. That doesn't exist. Now, a lot of those conventions and organizations, nonprofits, are funded by the government, or at least they're funded by people like, what's her name? Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, should I say, who's giving all this money to HBCUs and stuff. It's funded by those type of people. It's sort of like NAACP, not NAACP, I'm sorry. It's sort of like the Pan-African Reparations movement being funded by the MacArthur organization. It's a bunch of white money going into this project. So it's not really acknowledged how far down the totem pole black boys are treated. And that war continues. It goes from just men and women to kids are involved too. Hold on. Let me move to the next $8 million. Hold on. I want to show this older case right here. Let me show this. San Jose approves $8 million settlement in case of college athlete shot by police. Let me show some of this.
That's the settlement approved today by the San Jose City Council in the case of a football player shot by police. In 2022, Keon Green was wrestled a gun away from a man in a restaurant during a fight. When police arrived, an officer shot Green 4 times. That officer was also later found to be part of a racist texting scandal. Green's lawyer posted a statement on Facebook today that reads in part, "We had faith that the truth would come out. We had to fight to get the truth out." Green now plays football at a university in Arkansas.
Why this black man wrestled a gun from a threat? The white dude shot him, and then he had text messages where he's saying, "Nigger thought we was gonna let him walk around with a gun. He got another thing coming." So even the innocent black man who he saw was innocent, he's still treated as a threat, which we know that's not surprising. This was the other story. This is the other part of this when it initially happened. This was December 29th of last year. I'm trying to see, where is it at? 8:07. 20, he was punched by an intoxicated man. A struggle ensued between the two before another man pulled a gun and pointed at Green and the customers. Green wrestled the gun away and backed out the restaurant, holding it over his head to signal he was not a threat. He was told to drop the gun. Then he was shot, obviously. Where is his actual comments at? Is it here? Here you go. Sent a fellow officer following the shooting. The messages, he named racial slurs and described Green, joked about the shooting, and later wrote, "I hate black people." See, this is where this weird thing happened. It's funny, I just seen a video recently of a black cop beating a black dude in like a train station. Extremely unnecessary, just beating on him. So you see a text message from a white cop who shot a black dude who clearly wasn't a threat, and he says, I hate black people, and you're not surprised. You expect that, but then you're like, your initial thought would be, we need more black cops. But then you see video of a black cop beating the hell out of a black man for no reason. You know, this is no answer to this. It's just system is just so broken. And every day when you live through this system, it becomes harder and harder to see any way out of it without just crashing out completely. And we're gonna get to crash outs later too, because the streets is in the uproar. We're gonna get to that later. What else we got? Get past this. We ain't got to talk about that. Oh, update on this. Y'all call these people scammers too. It was a couple years ago. Those Colorado ranchers fear for their lives after shooting on farm. After years of facing harassment, the Maoris say they are still experiencing it. They did everything they could at this point. They had a whole attention on it. The police, they wanted an investigation. Still nothing came of it. And now they're saying they're still being harassed in 2026. Courtney and Nicole believe they had moved to greener pastures after being displaced by a hurricane. We know this whole story. During Easter weekend, shots were fired at the ranch. She said on Instagram video, the Maoris worried that the future incident may cost a life. They told Capital B that this incident was not random, but a result of sustained, repeated, and documented inaction by the El Paso County Sheriff Office. We are no longer speaking about harassment. We are no longer speaking about intimidation. We are speaking about survival. They wrote in a statement to Capital B after all we want to do is farm and feed our community. How much terror must a family endure before it's taken seriously? At this point, as I just said with the last story, how long is it cowardly if you're in a certain area of a community and you're being harassed for years to a point where your life is being threatened? At what point do you just leave? At what point do you just take it as, let me sell this, make a profit if I can, and just pack this up and go somewhere else? Maybe we need to go somewhere where we won't be harassed. Maybe we should go somewhere that has more people that look like us there. I don't really have the answers. It's just at this point, it's like that story out of North Carolina with the black woman who had the racist Caucasian neighbor. It's like at some point, if you gotta leave. Like at some point, it's about self-preservation. Just leave. Unless you're gonna do something about it. As you say, a life, because they're making the point that a life could be lost at some point. I didn't take that as them immediately saying that something could happen to them. But I've also been saying that we're going to have to do something to those people that's doing this. But at some point, enough is enough. Like it's time to just go at this point. More unfortunate updates for some people. Jonathan Majors, co-star, fall through 6-foot glass window while filming. Majors, who has been working on rebuilding his career after the 2023 legal case, is currently part of Knuckle along with other upcoming films. Let me play this little clip right quick. This is them on set. Action. Goes into his role. He's playing a character, obviously. Yada yada.
Here we go, guys. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, action! No! Oh! Guys, let it come back. Let it come back.
That wasn't supposed to happen. The crew walked off. Apparently, it's some type of union beef. Goddamn. And the fact that they're doing everything to destroy this man's career, but yet they're keeping up with him. But every time something happens that's in a bad light or can be perceived as a failure from him, they make sure to report on it. Somehow the story became about him when it's actually about Ben Shapiro pretty much being anti-unions. The crew walked off because we're not supposed to be in these type of situations. Apparently the walls are filled with asbestos. It's not really an environment they should be working in. And who would have thought that somebody who, as far as how big their platform is and how many, they own a company and all this stuff, you would assume they would have more resources to be able to be in a better environment than this, where people are falling through windows and stuff, but apparently not. Big up the Majors, man. Good Lord. Hopefully it turn around for him at some point, man. And then this. Hold on, let me make sure. I gotta get this right here. This is the stupidity I'm talking about right here. Because there's so many people that get online and talk about stuff from a perspective they ain't never had to live. And they're so opinionated. Let's get to this. Gucci Mane. This is Pooh, Shiesty, and Big 30 on Crash Dummy. Craig says we fall from grace, literally. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Definitely fall from grace. Gucci Mane. This story has I mean when I saw the reaction to this, I've been so angry. Just reading people say stuff that's, to me, I deem so stupid. Gucci Mane, rapper turned label owner. Well, he always owned a label. A label owner who signed Pooh Shiesty to a deal a few years ago, made a lot of money off of him. Pooh Shiesty went to prison, got out last year or the top of this year, I can't remember. Put out a song, did really well on charts, first day out. He's out for like 2 months. Decided to call Gucci Mane, hey, I want to meet me at the studio, I want to talk some business. Gucci show up to talk to business. They rob him. Pooh Shiesty, his father, and some other dummies rob him. Make him sign a contract that may let him out of his deal, and then go on about their business. This been bubbling. I've been hearing about this story probably for the last, probably in that 2 months. I've been hearing this this has been a story that's been a rumor that's been going around for a few weeks before it was officially revealed. And I see so many people going in on Gucci Mane because he's a snitch now. And he put out a song. Let me play a little bit of this song.
But y'all was on some weak shit. The artist and the CEO, I wear a lot of hats. Wow. They smile in your face, then they stab you in your back. Damn. You learn from your daddy, so I guess that is hereditary. I'm that same nigga that put money on your commissary. A nigga settled to play like Suge Knight did with Drake. But I ain't easy E, nigga, and this ain't back in the day. The 1017, the label this shit from the ground. And I be damned if I let a nigga take my shit down. No. Pressure on my chest, but I...
This is where we are as a community, at least online. A man snaked his boss, put rifles to his neck. That man goes to the police and tells people what happened, tell them what happened. And the internet is attacking a man who was set up and robbed. I see all these people, Gucci Mane supposed to be gangster. Gucci Mane, the one thing that seemed attached to Gucci Mane, because they keep using the excuse that he's supposed to be this gangster thug, because remember at the verses where he was talking shit to Jeezy about what happened? Let me play a little bit of that.
Damn.
Broke the internet.
I tell you what.
Put that nigga ass in the dirt.
I tell you what.
Smoking on Pooh tonight.
I tell you what. I tell you what, this how we gonna do this.
So they're using that as a justification why Gucci Mane is, 40-something, 50-something year old man is supposed to live by these street rules. These street rules nobody else live by. I'll get this shit from these mafia people, these so-called mobsters, these Italian mobsters, and they don't even live by it. Every last one of these mob bosses snitched. Every last one snitched. All Benny the Boy, these mob stars, these mobsters, who went out here and talked about this code of silence, got movies, podcasts, TV shows with their daughters and wives on it. They snitched. They didn't live by this at all. You Negroes are still in 2026 talking about street code with rappers. When Gucci Mane killed that dude who tried to kill him, that wasn't street gangster. That was self-defense, and that man had to be held accountable for what he tried to do. I don't understand how people are still stuck in this idea that somebody who was something at one point is supposed to be that forever. A man tried to rob someone. He did rob someone, and the person went to the authorities. Now, Gucci Mane was the person who y'all say y'all want him to be, and he went out here, and sent some niggas at him, or went at him himself and went out crashing out. I was saying how stupid he is. You too old to be doing this. What are you doing? Then they critique him for who he signed. Well, Gucci Mane is going to go sign these gangster dudes from the hood. He should know better. Well, if he wasn't, if he was signing a bunch of suburban dudes who cosplay as dudes from the hood, made the same amount of money, y'all would be saying, but he's signing these fake people. And you can't use the excuse that, well, he shouldn't sign people that glorify this lifestyle at all. Well, what do you say about Leor Cohen and all these other executives? And they keep calling Gucci Mane street because of the music the people he's surrounding himself by. He's signing these street dudes, so he's a street dude still. He's still living by the street rules. Well, all these white label execs who sign all these Chicago and Florida and Philly rappers that rap about killing their ops and all the other stuff on songs, that means those white execs are street too. That's the only way to do it. Pooh, Shiesty, and Big 30 were 2 of 9 people arrested last week on kidnapping and robbery charges in connection with the alleged incident. Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was also taken to custody. And the fact that his mom came out and said something, even though the caption people was using with her video wasn't exactly what she was saying. We see it all the time when these rappers, they go to prison or they end up in a situation where they commit crime, a murder or something. And then you see their parents, whether their dad was absent or not, he was a street dude himself, and the mom and the way she talk and defend her kid for committing these crimes. And you go, man, that kid never had a chance. That young dude, he's 26, that 26-year-old never had a chance when you look at his parents. He was always going to be exactly what he is. The man told y'all on the song, his first co-defendant was his daddy. All this free Pooh Shiesty, like, what are we doing? What is going on? It's over. I thought we said in the last year, didn't 21 Savage say the streets is done? We done with this? What is going on? I've been frustrated with this story, if y'all can't tell. What are we doing with a person who set someone up and robbed them is not being criticized, but the man who simply went to the authorities is the villain? This shit is backwards. Like, it's one thing when black people have this sense, an apprehension to call in the police because we know how it go in America. We know how it go. But at some point, we gotta find some other solutions. Because I'm sick of this narrative that anybody who call the cops when something is done to them is a snitch. My whole life, I grew up around people in my family who were considered they're gang members. All I ever heard about a snitch is a person who tell on their co-defendant. A snitch is a person who tells on their co-defendant. You can't be a snitch if a man does something to your son or daughter, and you only got 2 options. You handle it yourself and end up in prison, or you go to the authorities. That's not snitching. What is going on? Craig's sad. What up, Keeper? It's like, these are the moments, unfortunately, where street urban culture, which is obviously a subculture of black culture, it's too strong. We gotta lower the amount of influence that subculture has on the greater group, because it's just silly. And most of the people online making these dumbass arguments, you work in a factory. You've had a 9 to 5 since you were 18, 19 years old. You've never been in the streets. You don't carry a firearm yourself, even legally. It's like, why are people trying to push this? No, on one hand, you say you want this stuff out of hip hop. It's not necessary. It's something that's damaging to the community. But then when somebody shows growth and shows they're not trying to do the street stuff no more, Gucci Mane, you criticize him then and say you're supposed to be street forever. Then if you do it, you're stupid. You're a millionaire. Why are you doing that? You're almost 50. These are the moments, unfortunately, where you start to develop a certain apathy. I'm sorry. Like, you start to develop a certain level of, man, look. As Dr. Umar said,
some of them going to sleep for God.
Some of these people got to go. Pooh Shiesty. If y'all have ever heard me speak about prison and prison reform, you always heard me say, or ask the question to most people: Is prison about punishment or rehabilitation? Is it about rehabilitation or punishment? What is the purpose of prison? For a person like Pooh Shiesty, who's willing to get out of federal prison and 2 months later do some stupid stuff like this, just get him up out of here. I don't care what number the judge give him. I don't care what the number should be. If you give him life, I wouldn't care. I'm sorry. Because it's just, you can't be this dumb. You can't be this dumb. There's no purpose for you to be on the streets if you can't be a person who's able to make a living rapping. But instead of just doing that, getting a lawyer to deal with the contract situation you have with Gucci, you decide to do this stupid shit. And then you expect Gucci Mane to hold it down and not go to the police. They said that when Pooh Shiesty was told that Gucci Mane gave a statement, he shook his head. What? What are you shaking your head for? What are you doing? You disappointed? You shocked that he told? I don't know, man. I feel like I thought there would be a turning point at some point, seeing how most people we're supposed to see hip hop is so commercial at this point. It's so far away from what we would consider urban culture at this point that we wouldn't have to deal with these conversations. You would think we wouldn't have to deal with these conversations, but hey, man. By the way, another thing that's twist, the very people that's kicking Gucci Mane's back in, those same people was defending Gunna, who was in a RICO case he wasn't even in the RICO case. His name wasn't even part of Young Thug's case. He was dealing with something totally different. He would have been good. He gave a plea that absolutely was a snitch, and they defended him, which goes back to it's all about who people like and who they don't like. Gucci Mane ain't hot no more. He ain't had a hit in a long time. They don't care about his music, so that's just what it is. But anyway, I just had to get that rant off because this shit is crazy. Lock his ass. So get him out of here. I don't give a damn what the judge give him. Lord forgive me. I don't care. I don't care what the judge give him. Give him throw the book at him because that's so stupid. Considering you just got out of prison, you just got out. But there's no justification for it. I don't know. But anyway, speaking of more positive things, when Gucci stopped being hot, Gucci is not. Well, you can make the argument Gucci Mane has not ever been mainstream, but Gucci Mane used to have radio play. Gucci Mane used to have placement and playlists and stuff. As far as local mixtape stuff, yeah, he's still probably moving. People still listen to Gucci Mane, but he's not nearly as mainstream as he once was. Matter of fact, he hasn't been able to reach that level since he got out of prison. If you look at pre-prison star power of Gucci Mane versus post, it's not the same. It's not the same. But it is what it is. Speaking of, let's do a little bit of semi good news if we care about this. A black man went to the moon, or at least flew around it. NASA astronaut Victor Glover, first black man to go around the moon. He didn't want to hear that shit though. Let me play a little bit what he had to say about the comments and asking him about what it means to be the first black man to accomplish this.
It is a big question, and I want to highlight, I guess maybe one facet of this is the tension, I call it. I live in this, this dichotomy between happiness that a young woman can look at Christina and just physicalize her passion or her interest, or even if it's not something she wants to do, she can just be like girl power, and that's awesome. And that young brown boys and girls can look at me and go, hey, he looks like me and he's doing what? And that's great. I love that. But I also hope we are pushing the other direction, that one day we don't have to talk about these first, that one day this is just, and I listen to this, that this is the human history. It's about human history. It's the story of humanity, not black history, not women's history, but that it becomes human history.
Now, I feel like people took his words right there and thought he was tap dancing. But I think what he was actually saying is he wants this to be the norm. I think it was more so, I want this to be the norm, to seeing this happen. Honorable says people like this confuse me. Noted, don't celebrate this goofy. No, I don't think he was saying. I don't think he meant I don't care about being the first black. I'm a human. I'm a human before I'm black. I think he was saying he wants this to be normal. He's tired of seeing first black. It should be. There's no way just now this is happening. Now the brown comment, I kind of I ignored it, but because some people say that I'm brown, I'm not black. We're different shades of brown. We're not black. So that's a whole other point. And he was talking about skin tone, not race. There, brown people, whatever. But they compared him. I saw this article. It says astronaut Victor Glover is the latest in a long line of Black American explorers, including York, the enslaved man who played a key role in the Lewis and Clark expedition. Honorable says it's not the norm, and we're tired of hearing the disclaimer from the usual suspects. Here you go. All right, agree to disagree. I don't think he was making a disclaimer of I'm a human, not black. He was saying I want this to be the norm. But anyway, he said hopefully in the future, But anyway, this York situation, I learned about this obviously in school. It was a so-called slave that pretty much was the lead of the expedition for Lewis and Clark. He was the one who was the guide. And you read that story, how he was a childhood slave of Clark, I think, or Lewis. I can't remember which one. And he was a childhood slave who wound up, end up in this situation. And whenever I see these people referred to influential or very important figures historically during this time as slaves, I now have to double take, because you go read some of these stories on these people and you find out it ain't as black as white as they make it out to be. There's a lot of stories that's like this where these people were not slaves. I'm not saying York in particular, but there's plenty of stories like this where it ain't what they said it was. It's like when you go to like Germany or somewhere in Eastern Europe, and you see thousands of statues of all these so-called black people, and they'll tell you that all these statues are Saint Maurice, who was a slave. And you go, wait, well, no, it ain't. That's a totally different statue of a totally different person. That's not no damn Saint Maurice. That's a lie. But this reminds me of that. Like, I don't know if I would believe that completely, but shout out to him. Regardless if he care about it or not, he is the first black. And the question is, do y'all believe we really are going to the moon? What up, Will? Is that a black nobility statue? Yeah. They be lying a lot with that stuff. And then you'll see paintings. You'll see paintings of these black people with gold and jewelry and all type of colorful. Cause you gotta remember, we talk about color and you talk about certain certain textured clothing in those days, it was expensive. And these people be dressed in decked out expensive clothing in these paintings, and they'll tell you, oh, that was just a slave. It's like, all right. All right, man. But yeah, Keeper said no already. Do y'all believe we going to the moon? Did we really go around the moon? They put pictures out. As you can see, in these pictures, they showed the moon. They showed Earth from the other side of the moon, as you can see right here. They told us that is the Earth, and the moon, we see it. They put out a video, and shout out to Denzel Curry. First black man to get his rap song played in space. They played a Denzel Curry song in space. If you believe it's real, you had who was that? Soulja Boy came out, because he always say I was the first to do everything. When they played Denzel Curry song in space, he was like, "This is a lie. They filmed this shit in the basement of some building." Honorable says for as much money they making pennies on a dollar. I don't care where they go. I don't know. I feel like years ago, I would tell you that any idea of us going to space is fake. It's not real. I do not believe in the moon. I do not believe the moon landing was real. I just don't. I just don't believe it. I do believe we've definitely sent machinery, robots to space. Obviously, I believe there is space stations and stuff. Obviously, how we got so we got all this connections and stuff, Wi-Fi and internet and all this stuff connected. But I don't think a human has ever been to space. I think it's all been robots and stuff. Because I mean, I guess you could say you don't have to do it again, but if you send a human somewhere in the 60s, then why can't you send them there in 2026? I mean, why not just land on the moon? You right there, just land on it, get off, and I don't know. Maybe that's being a little too naive or whatever, but I'm not an astrophysicist, so it is what it is. But congratulations to him if it's real. And if it's not, he still get the praise for it. Adam says, what do you get out of denying American greatness with the moon landing? Well, when you look at that, what I get out of it, I don't get anything. I'm indifferent towards it. When I say I don't believe it, it's not that I have this passionate belief that the reason why I don't have this belief that the earth is flat and that they're lying to us for some conspiracy reason, because if you believe that the earth is round, then that means you believe in the Big Bang Theory, which is denying God, which is, by the way, that's part of the reason why some people believe the earth is flat, is because it proved that there's a God to them. I disagree, but that's what they believe. So I don't believe it's a conspiracy reason. I think the same reason that they had this fake race with Russia and all these other places to go to the moon, they lied about getting there. Like, it's about, they decided to do it because they wanted to be first. They wanted to be America the great. They wanted to be, the top dog in everything, whether it be war, science, accomplishments, global accomplishments. It's all theater to me. But anyway, next up, Melania Trump stepped out. And by the way, Trump was talking like he wanted to really set it off with Iran, and then he kind of, after Easter, calmed down, I guess. I don't know. He decided not to go through with, possibly nuking another country like America's already done. But this right here proves to me that the Trump cabinet or his peoples are about to start playing offensive. They're about to go on the offensive. They've been playing defense with this Epstein story for a couple months. They just been playing defense. Now they're about to play offense. Melania Trump denies close ties to Jeffrey Epstein in rare public statement. Didn't she have a movie come out? Did any of y'all go see her movie? Her movie was in the theaters, wouldn't it? Y'all go see it and see what the First Lady movie was about? Let me play some of this. Now, according to Trump and other people, they didn't know what she was going to say. This was just a random call for a press conference. They didn't know what she was going to say. I don't believe that at all. There's no way they're going to just let her call for this and not make sure she don't say something crazy. So this is them going on the offense to me. Let me play a little bit of it.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donna.
I mean, there's emails of you saying you ready to see him and, you miss him and stuff, but all right.
Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
Well, it's alleged that you were actually his lady first, and he passed you on to Trump.
My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note.
I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of crazy that Trump been pushing this pro-America stuff, even though he's like German or something, German immigrant descendant. And his wife, First Lady, barely speaks. She has this one of the stronger accents you will see.
I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous
I ain't gonna lie. It is a struggle to get to. I would say, be for fucking real. Did the blacks support her movie? Well, I mean, you support the country, don't you? You just said I'm denying American greatness. So Craig says, this is so cringe. Yeah.
fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe.
I'm about to just say it. She basically went on to say she wants the victims of Epstein to be put in front of Congress. Basically, she wants an investigation into the Epstein thing. And the reason why that's crazy is because Trump obviously very loudly said that, hey, we're past this. People don't care about this anymore. Which is just some attempt to play mind games to get the public to not care about it. If you tell the public they don't care about something, I guess you think that means it's going to be true. So I say that this is an offensive. They're about to flip this on the offense now, because these people been going through those Epstein emails for the last couple of weeks, combing for every single Donald Trump mention they can find, and they haven't been able to get them with something real cold hard. They haven't been able to do it. So now it's time to play offense. But it also it's funny how this man who pretty much was, a socialite billionaire, everybody's trying to distance themselves from him now, obviously. But people are trying to distance themselves from that group in particular. And I see a lot of Jewish people. I've seen so many more ads, videos, all type of things of these Jewish organizations pushing this black and Jewish connection thing. It's been strong. It's always been a thing, obviously, when we talk about Hollywood and entertainment in general, but it's definitely been in politics. They've been trying to re-emphasize this connection that supposedly exists. Let me play what the TMZ little debate they had. I want to show this, where the question was asked, are black people more forgiving? So let me play this.
I want to raise a very sensitive topic.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
It's a very sensitive topic. So there is a lot of anti-Semitism in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And especially after October 7th, it has grown, into, a wing of the Democratic Party, the Democrats. It has been kind of festering in America. But there is a complicated...
When he says anti-Semitism, he just means anti-Zionist.
...history between blacks and Jews.
Mm-hmm.
There just is.
Right.
And that my sense of what Donnell is saying, to some extent, addresses that.
I want to disagree with, I'm trying to figure out which part to start with that I disagree with. First of all, as far as the complicated history between the black community and the Jewish community, I think you tell me, you were there, and this is not an age thing, but I think that has to do with what happened post the civil rights movement.
Not really. I'll tell you what part of it is, because there were a lot of Jews who really participated in the civil rights movement.
Yes, I know.
But even before that, there was a sense, because I know this because my dad was a small business owner, and he had friends who had also liquor stores in South Central LA, Watts at the time. And there was a lot of resentment because there were a lot of Jewish business owners in those areas, and there were a lot of black people who felt the Jewish business owners were taking advantage of them. And I remember there was a really tragic incident with one of my dad's friends, and this all got discussed and talked about, and I think there was some truth to it. There was some truth to it in the sense that there were bad feelings.
Yeah, no, I think the bad feelings, what I meant was that in the black community, there's a feeling that, yes, the Jewish people were very involved in the civil rights movement. But when it was all said and done, when they went home from the marches and the rallies, who was really benefiting after the civil rights movement? And I think some people in the black community felt that the Jewish people were doing better.
Okay.
And they expected to be doing.
Do you guys really think this is a black Jewish thing, or that just people forgave Kanye in general?
Yes, and I also think that what you're talking about, what we're talking about, is an issue. I don't think it necessarily relates to what's going on with Kanye.
You don't think there's more forgiveness because that people don't view it as abhorrently as others do?
Yes, that is true. You're right. There are people who are not as offended by things that Kanye said as others are.
Right.
But that's pretty much true of any offensive thing that's done.
So black people are too forgiving because we don't hold Kanye to the fire for what he said about Jewish people. Keep in mind, these are some of the things that Kanye said about Jewish people where he was defending black people. He said the reason why he's going to walk around and praise Hitler is because white or Jewish label owners and people who control music push black hate. They'll push a song of a person saying they would kill a nigga, take a nigga girl, da-da-da-da. They'll allow that music to go out. But when you speak about atrocities that happen to them, they make sure, never forget, they cut it off. So he's saying, I'm going to make it as popular for their hate to exist as they make it for our hate to exist. Regardless if you agree with it or not, if you're one of those people that view it as, wrong or whatever, that was his overall point. The reason why black people ain't canceling the Kanye West, they're not canceling him for what he said about Jewish people. If anything, they would be canceling him for what he said about black people. There's still some people that's mad at him for his slavery was a choice comments, even though some people feel like it was taken out of context. The comments where he wore the black KKK outfit. Well, he was doing that to once again popularize what he deemed to be the hate against the other group the same way against his own. So, like I said, this Jewish black thing has been growing since the October 7th thing, and since there's been a big uptick in critique and complete social attack on Zionism, that you've been seeing stuff like this right here pop up. Y'all remember this commercial? This was a Super Bowl commercial. A Jewish kid at school getting picked on, and it was the black kid that came up to defend him.
Thank you, man.
And in this commercial, as I mentioned when I first saw it, when the Jewish kid saw the tag calling him a dirty Jew, he was about to go confront the kids that did it to him. It was the black kid that told them, just like, Martin Luther King turned the other cheek. It was the black kid that told him no need to do that, just ignore him. But the little Jewish kid about to go put hands on him. So I thought that was a funny dynamic. And then this right here, this commercial, there was an ad for this video right here. I think this is directly from the ADL, or at least some type of organization associated with Jewish people. This ad has been playing on my YouTube because I'm not using YouTube Premium no more. I'm sick of it, and the ads have gotten worse since I stopped using YouTube Premium. It's crazy. This ad has been playing on every single video I click on, probably for the last 2-3 months. It's crazy. Just watch this.
Are you telling me I'm not Jewish? And you're telling me I'm not black? So what am I?
I'm Nate Looney, and I'm a black Jew.
I'm April Powers, and I'm also a black Jew. We're here in Santa Monica to see what people think. My mother is Jewish, and my father is black American.
So you're not Jewish? You didn't go to the whole 3 years conversion.
Why would I have to do that if my mother's Jewish?
What I prefer to do is think of the importance of loving our Jewish community, brothers and sisters, regardless of our skin color.
What do you think when people say that Israel is this racist, white, apartheid, colonialist state?
For those of us who are Jews of color, over 50% of Israelis would not be considered white here or would be considered people of color.
By having a blanket statement that Israel is this racist colonial place means that there are...
So they, crazy, I've been seeing this shit too, my nigga. They took a black man and a mixed biracial woman who called himself Jewish to defend Israel. So this is the tentacles of this. They're finding a way to tie to, once again, another group that don't need it, using the black plight to defend and kind of bolster the narrative of their own culture. So because Zionism and Israel and Israelis in general are being socially looked at like y'all are just some genociders, we ain't trying to hear none of that. That shit need to end. They're now running these ads, seen so many of these ads. They're going to get black people to defend. You're seeing them in churches, black churches. I'm seeing ads all over the place from these ADL, these other Israeli Zionist movements. They're putting millions of dollars into tying black issues or blackness to Jewish issues. They're pretty much trying to make themselves, because he's admitting right here, because a lot of them would deny it, Jewish people are clearly Caucasian or white. They would be racially classified as white. But 50% of the population he's saying of Israel wouldn't be considered white. Well, they're Palestinian, and we see what's happening to them. That's the point. Well, you know, shit crazy. But speaking of that, I want to show this video of this black man crashing out on these Jewish people in New York. I showed a video a little while back of that dude who exposed the Somali child care scam. He also exposed Jewish welfare scam. I think that was in New Jersey, and they kind of didn't get as much legs. Obviously, we know why. The media didn't even speak about what he was exposing. They also showed it was a black dude who was telling a story about a Jewish dude told him how to deal with the housing situation. Basically, he taught him how to fraud. Basically, so the Jewish people are known for coming here. All of them are on welfare. They all get food stamps. They all they are all on government assistance. They have wives. They have as many kids as possible. They're doing this the very thing that black women got called welfare queens for. Jewish people are doing the same thing. They just know how to capitalize on it better. It's crazy. Let me play this video. This dude going in.
Look at these motherfuckers. All of these motherfuckers got it fucked up. Take up all the parking spaces, everything. Park like dickheads. Got their own parking area, everything, nigga. Fuck out of here. Niggas on food stamps more than me. I don't even get food stamps, nigga. All y'all niggas got food stamps, nigga. Y'all know how to sign up yet? They teaching y'all that in school? You can grab your nuts, you a kid. I ain't gonna do that.
He said the kids are learning how to get on food stamps.
Rude. Y'all just seen this little fucking guy do that, right? Little fucking fat ass Jew guy. You gotta have a big ass gut, little guy. Show some
talking to the kids.
Respect. Look at these niggas. Fake ass temptations, the Jew-tations. Fuck out of here. Fucking fake ass Jew-tations. Y'all niggas over here, man. Eat dick, man. This the little disrespectful little faggot. He gonna suck.
He talked to the kids like that, man.
A lot of dick when he grow up. I don't respect none of that shit. Got the FDNY over here wasting their fucking time on bullshit. There's a whole war. What if they fucking get attacked right now and they over here with you bitch ass niggas for this bullshit?
Crazy. So everybody losing their food stamps except them. Interesting. Yeah. I remember during the lockdowns, and everybody was supposed to be, secured and locked down in their houses, and they hosted it. I think it was in New York. What do you call it? Crown Heights. And they were saying, "Hey, the police came. They were hosting a wedding in Crown Heights, and the police came and told them, everyone back into your homes. We're on lockdown." The Jewish people all came outside The ones who was in their car got out of their car and they stood still in the streets. They stood still in the streets and dared the police to arrest them. That's called unified. People who weren't even going to the wedding, they stood in the street and stood still and dared the police to arrest them. They didn't go by none of the rules. They did what the fuck they wanted to.
And these guys keep walking near me so they can hope they can get this confidence, this bravado. That's why they walk by me. So y'all can get my energy. That's why y'all keep walking by me. Oh, let's just bump me. Bump me. I'm gonna be attacked. If you like that, you keep staring at me. Bump me. Come on and bump me. And I'm gonna show you. Just bump me.
You know, they was looking at him, right? They're like, we was in, because you know, most of these people here, they take trips to Israel. And when they take trips to Israel, they go over there and they go to the Palestinian land with their guns and weapons, and they terrorize those people and run them off the land and put their own house there. And then they come back to America, and then they go back, trip back and forth. You could tell they're looking at him like, if we were in Israel, if we was in Israel, you wouldn't be saying none of this. We would have been on strung your ass up. He got another one, but I ain't gonna put the other one. He went in for like 3 minutes. Let me see right quick.
Talking about right here. Look at these niggas. These niggas is letting these niggas do a bonfire like we in Alabama still or some shit. In New York City. Look at this shit.
This was the first part of the video.
They keep doing it. The kids are doing it. Everybody is doing it. Straight.
Now, he is right. You're letting these people do an open fire in public. That's crazy.
Right, bro. This shit ain't right, bro. This is nowhere near right, bro.
Keep in mind, if these were a bunch of immigrants from Venezuela, Zimbabwe, to Thailand or something doing this very same thing, you'll be hearing them saying these immigrants are turning our country or turning our city into a slum.
We can't do that shit. Our religion or not, we are black. So we not allowed to do this shit right here. I'm not okay with that. I don't give a fuck for this type of shit right here. At all. Yeah. You can say what you want. Emerson, all that other shit. Eat dick. You know what I'm saying? You see they got the kids marking niggas. They know what they doing. They training them to be racist and be the next generation. Look at them. Look at them. They marking black. That's all they doing because they having their way out here. We gonna do something about this.
Hey, man. They get to live in the fatness of every land. You should know who they are. That is East. That is. I ain't gonna get into that. Never mind. Speaking of representation and numbers and advantages that some people have in society over black people, dozens of officials call for more Latino representation in Chicago public school leadership. The only reason why I'm showing this is because of this right here. The makeup of teachers and principals doesn't match the makeup of district students. Hispanic students make up 46% of students in Chicago public schools, the biggest share of any major racial group. But 19% of CPS principals are Latino. The statement noted. Meanwhile, the plurality of principals, 45% are black, while 34% of district students are black. So they're saying the black teachers and principals, or principals, should I say, are overrepresented based off a percentage of students. I didn't realize that almost 50% of Chicago's schools, 50% of their students are Hispanic. That's kind of, when I found out there was a school in Georgia that was 70% Mexican, bruh, whatever Biden was supposed to do when it came to that, he definitely did it, because they are very, very deep, and they're emboldened too. When you see stuff like this, you're not surprised. When you see the politicians saying things like this is what emboldens them to do certain things.
The majority of Americans across the country, regardless of political party, know that immigrants from all over the world, Somalia, India, wherever they're from, Latin America, Africa, that immigrants have built this country and make this country what it is today.
They've been saying this for 8 years. So I'm not surprised. Do I have the... Hold on. Yeah, I got it. I had to make sure I had this. Birthright citizenship. Looking to limit birthright citizenship, Trump turns to an 1884 Supreme Court ruling against a Native American man. Experts on Native American law say that Elk v. Wilkins ruling has no bearing on whether the children of immigrants without permanent legal status can be denied birthright citizenship. Elk believed to have, in a moment it could take a new significance among almost 150 years later, Omaha elected official Charles Wilkins on April 5th, 1880, refused to register John Elk to vote on the grounds that he was Native American and therefore was not an American citizen. Believed to have been a number of what is now known as Winnebago Tribe, Nebraska, objected, saying he had severed all ties with his tribe and had willingly subjected himself to the authority of the United States. He launched a legal challenge, arguing, among other things, that he was a citizen at birth because he was born within United States territory. But the Supreme Court, in the 1884 case called Elk v. Wilkins, ruled against him, saying that Native Americans born within the territory of the United States did not have birthright citizenship. They had the same status as the children of subjects of any foreign government born within the domain of the government. President Donald Trump administration is now citing that case as it defends its path to end automatic birthright citizenship, putting a new spin on a long-standing interpretation of the Constitution's 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court hears oral arguments in case on Wednesday. Obviously, they already did that. Waiting on the ruling now. But this was one of the arguments that was made. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson going back and forth with one of Trump's people.
How does this work? Are you suggesting that when a baby is born, people have to have documents, present documents? Is this happening in the delivery room? How are we determining when or whether a newborn child is a citizen of the United States under your rule?
And I think that's directly addressed in the SSA guidance that's cited in our brief. What SSA says is there's currently a system where, for example, Social Security numbers are generated based on the birth certificate. They say this can still be, for the vast majority of instances, completely transparent. You will still get it.
No, not transparent. I'm just talking about the particulars, because now you say your rule turns on whether the person intended to stay in the United States. And I think Justice Barrett brought this up. So are we bringing pregnant women in for depositions? What are we doing to figure this out?
No, as I pointed out earlier, the executive order turns on lawfulness of status. So if you give birth to a baby in the hospital right now, it gets the birth certificate in the system. There's a computer system.
So there's no opportunity, there's apparently no opportunity then for the person to prove or to say that they actually intended to stay in the United States?
Absolutely not. The opposite is true. Their opportunity to dispute if they think they were wrongly denied, which would only happen in a tiny minority of cases, is directly addressed in that guidance.
After the fact,
yes.
after their baby has been denied citizenship, then we can go through the process.
Yes.
So as you can hear, she was trying to get specifics of how this would be done if this was if this went the other way. If we started denying automatic birthright citizenship, how would we determine a parent's intent? He said, well, we already have something somewhat in place. You simply would just, based off the parent's legal status, that would be put on the documents. But I saw this right here too. Saw the Asians protesting the birthright citizenship. Let me play this 10 seconds. So now all these people, this is a law, this is a change, obviously, that could impact them deeply. So after all that, these Asians fought against affirmative action. They've been a part of the DEI situation. We're going to get to that a little bit in the next segment. And now the very side that's been damn near championing you for pushing these things is trying to get rid of your automatic right to be here. So all of y'all sitting here could, all of a sudden not be citizens. But anyway, this right here. Obviously, there was the National Action Network did a convention with the black politicians. I think it's the journalists, black journalists convention, whatever it's called. And they interviewed a few people, but the main person, this person here, was focused on Kamala Harris. I saw they also talked to Wes Moore. I'm going to play a little bit of these clips to one in particular, but I'm going to play a little bit of this first one. I ain't even got to play it because Reverend R. Sharpton could not be defending Kamala Harris's run. And obviously in this, she ended up saying that she may run again. We've been talking about that. We know that, I think behind the scenes, they're not running her again. And I'm going to tell you why in a second, or another reason why. But she's saying that Al Sharpton says that we didn't need a primary after Biden stepped down because we already had a primary. I'm trying to make sure, which one's the right one? What do you think about Kamala Harris? Yes, government have some level of authority to speak on human rights. No, that's not the one. Deserve this level of support. Which one is it? Doesn't see herself as the keeper of status quo. Do I have it?
Say two things in particular.
Hold on. I got to get it. Kiva says, I hope runs again. She really is the gift that keeps on giving, ain't she? Hold on. I got to make sure I get this particular clip because she says something that infuriated a lot of people, as it should, especially if you was somebody who was seeing how she was campaigning and how if you was against her, if you came against Kamala Harris, you had a certain people saying certain things that was, hold on. They were saying certain things that was a detriment to black people in general. Okay, go. Okay. All right, I do got it. My bad. I do got it. Right here. So after a whole year of people getting arguments and debating something that should be obvious, if you're voting, it should be for something tangible. There should be a benefit to your people. Keep saying it'll be incredibly entertaining. Well, here's the thing. You can tell that if she did run, I still don't believe she's going to run. But if she did run, it will be on a different platform. And this is where I think she's about to do a twist right here. But there's two things that she could be doing right here. And I'll say what I think after I play it.
The last point I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel.
She said it's controversial what she about to say. What's how caller said? He said gonna say something radical. Here you go.
You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters.
We just had a couple months of your campaign where you had black people being transactional with their votes, saying, hey, what are you going to give us? We saw Ice Cube get his back kicked, still getting his back kicked in to this day because he said, I have this plan and I want to present it to both parties because I want tangibles for my people. They've been kicking us back in. When Kamala Harris put out that little black men plan that turned out to be for any man, you have people saying, how dare black people ask for something from Kamala Harris? How dare you? Now she's in front of black people saying we should be more transactional. Oh my God. You know, they say when you just understand certain things, you just always walking around mad if you just have any understanding of the world. It's just, my God. But I'm going to say why I think she might be doing this. People said this bitch said she wasn't going to do something for black folks, speaking out of both sides of her neck. It's crazy. Let me play that again.
The last point I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote, and it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase
our history. And this is also a critique on her own campaign, by the way.
We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Spilled blood on Selma.
The sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter. The assassination of Dr. King. There are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours.
Bruh. Now she's saying, get your, oh my God. Ran president. You could have ran on this.
expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen.
Hey, Craig, you better thank a union member.
And it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, oh, we can count on them to vote because.
This is literally the argument. You can count on them to vote. Neglect. People were literally saying this. That what's the point when Ice Cube presented his plan, regardless if you agree with his plan or not, most people didn't read it. I actually went through it a little bit. It was for basic stuff that you should always ask for anyway. Funding, all the other stuff. When he said he would present his plan, right? You had the same Kamala supporters saying, just vote for her and then talk to them. Well, if I give them my vote, they don't need to talk to me after they're already in office. Like, what the hell is going on?
And say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, oh, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional and to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect.
Oh, my God, bro. But I got
to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
I'm not going to do anything for only black people. So now this is a 180. Am I crazy? This is like a 180 on her platform, right? She was saying how I want to do stuff that, high tides lift all boats. I'm going to lift all the boats with the highway. I'm going to help everybody at the same time. And because of that, black people will benefit, but I'm not going to do nothing just for you. Now, why is she doing this? I see Kiva says she's still trying to pass herself off as black too. Oh, yeah. Sister girl is still here. It's gotten stronger, maybe. You know what's funny too? And I'm going to say this, and I might be wrong. When I look at her sister, and this is where you can call it what you want to call it. I feel like her sister could get it off better than she would. If her sister was in her position, I think the commentary on her would be a lot different. But unfortunately for her, it's her. Now, why is Kamala Harris? Is this her new platform? Is this just something she's saying in front of black people? I said I believe that the Democratic Party, this is my opinion, I believe the Democratic Party is saying you're not running again. I think we lost with Abrams. We lost with you. We lost with Jasmine Crockett. I think they're like, we've lost with, we've pushed the sister girl, black woman person. Now, we got other people we got other black women that's won certain positions, but in the key races, we've lost those people who we've gotten around who has some level of national attention. I believe this is her sabotaging. I believe she's saying this so that we have Kamala Harris, a presidential candidate, saying black people should be transactional and ask for something for their vote. Now, when any other person who's running on the Democratic side speak to black people and black people start asking for something for their vote, those people who was critiquing last election, saying that you shouldn't be transactional, that you should do something to help the whole country because we got to save the world, as they say, it's now cut at his knees now because, well, the woman you supported, she's now saying that we should be transactional. So either one, she's changing her platform, which may be true, may be happening, or this is her attempt to just a little F you out the door. Give a little F you to them out the door because they won't let her run. They're not backing her. I already said, I think it's Newsom or Wes Moore who they're going to completely get behind as a presidential candidate. We'll see. We'll see which way it is. Like I said, she said in this same interview that she is thinking about running. I just don't think she's going to run. I think it's over. You ran twice. In 2020, you was the first person to drop out because you say you ran out of money. I don't believe it. I think you simply did what the rest of them were told to do anyway. Just the rest of them made it a play. I think Biden was always the choice in 2020, and you just simply dropped out first. and then in 2024, you lost to Trump. You lost the popular and the electoral college. Like, we can't run you again. She's turning into, she's slowly turning into Hillary Clinton, where when she don't speak to some Democrats, her popularity or her approval rating goes up when she don't talk. But the second she starts talking, her approval rating just drops and plummets. She's got the Hillary Clinton syndrome at this point. But anyway, let's get to the next segment. Yeah, let's get to this. Hold on, y'all. All right. This right here, let me get to this. This will be the last segment. A federal lawsuit filed alleging Congressional Black Caucus spouses education scholarship violates the Civil Rights Act of 1866 by limiting awards to African American and Black students. You see how they separated that, by the way? African American and Black students. So they sued the Congressional Black Caucus because of scholarships that they have for Black students. The part that blew people's mind, though, when you read the actual actual lawsuit, the article on it, the American Alliance of Equal Rights is suing on behalf of two students who belong to Bloom's organization and who are Asian and Hispanic. There is an Asian caucus, even though I think it's called the, what do they call it? Hawaiian, Asian, Pacific Islander caucus, something like that. Then you had a Hispanic caucus. And as we've talked about it before, when you go to the Black Caucus, they actually mention Hispanics in their decree or whatever. But you have the Hispanic Caucus that offers scholarships to Hispanic students. So now it looks like to me, once again, they're attacking it through Black people so they can get it destroyed amongst all of them. And all this really proves what we've been saying for the last 8 years with ADOS FBA, which is you got to get rid of the race-based stuff and go lineage. It's the easiest change. It's not even a big change that need to be made. Instead of it being for Black students, it's for students who are descendant of slavery in America. It's the easy change. So I would imagine the Congressional Black Caucus would make that change very easily, but we'll see. But somebody would put this up, a Martin Luther King quote, and I'm gonna read what he said. It says, whites, it must frankly be said, are putting in a similar mass effort to re-educate themselves out of their racial ignorance. It is an aspect of their sense of superiority that the white people of America believe they have so little to learn. The reality of substantial investment to assist Negroes into the 20th century adjusting to Negro neighborhoods and genuine school integration is still a nightmare for all too many white Americans. These are the deepest causes for contemporary abrasions between the races. Loose and easy language about equality resonates solutions about brotherhood fall pleasantly on the ears. But for the Negro, there is a credibility gap he cannot overlook. He remembers that with each modest advance, the white population promptly raises the argument that the Negro has come far enough. Each step forward accents an ever-present tendency to backlash. So because, and I told you what it's all about, I talked about this at the beginning, about how schools tend to focus on girls, how education in this country has kind of shifted to be more focused on the female girls, or sorry, the young girls, so much that the boys are being neglected. Now, as they always say, if America is sick, Negroes got the flu. This affects white boys too. We saw these white mothers at city council meetings. We saw them threatening to completely get rid of the Board of Education because their boys were failing behind their girls. And they said, we're not dealing with this. Something got to change. They started wanting to change curriculum around the country, all type of stuff. this is what this is about. So on the male side of this, while the mothers is doing that, the men are trying to, as I said before, they're trying to completely remove the social safety net. It seems like this is about black people suing the Congressional Black Caucus to stop particular race-based scholarships, but it's going to go from race to gender very quickly. So it's going to end up affecting white women. Craig says, hate, they go clicking up against us, but then going to need our help when things go south for them. Well, that's the thing. I think we're at a time now, because their numbers are up so high, if you ain't been paying attention, they don't think they're going to need your help no more. The way they've been voting, I just showed you that in Chicago, they're telling the black people, we want more Hispanic teachers. We are enough of the population. Our kids are in the school. We want more. Like, they're demanding things now. So they don't think they need black support. They don't think they need to ride your coattails anymore. They ready to jump out of the nest. You know, they're trying to fly at this point. We'll see how it benefits them in the long run, because the Asians tried it and they ain't even got the numbers. So the Hispanics trying it is like, yeah, it's kind of expected at this point. And look at this right here. Privatization, eliminations, and consolidations. Major reforms for Trump's budget. President fiscal 27 blueprint contains significant overhauls to the work carried out by federal agencies. I know that they're defunding Jobs Corps. They're trying to do a lot of defunding to that, which we know who that affects. As you can see right here, Anthony Bradley said DEI cuts terminated programs being disadvantaged black and Hispanic boys into trades and college. Thousands of them. The irony. Guess who also complains about the same boys? Clemson Men of Color program among those lost. 2,000 attended in 2024 alone. It no longer exists. Like I said, unfortunately for them, for their overall plan, black men and women, boys and girls are collateral damage. We gotta start with you, because it started with you. The civil rights movement was allowed to make race the civil rights movement made race a thing, and we went in, made amendments to it through the women's rights movement to make gender and race tied together. So in order to get rid of the gender-based programs, we gotta start with the race-based. So we're treated as collateral damage in this political war that they're in. So it is what it is. Like this right here, remember we talked about this like 2 years ago, Epstein reparations program, where they were pretty much just giving housing vouchers to citizens, and they were treating that like reparations. There's a lawsuit against that now. Lawsuit challenging Epstein reparations program allowed to proceed. A federal judge ruled Friday that lawsuit against the city of Evanston's reparations program will be allowed to proceed. The suit, filed by conservative legal groups Judicial Watch in May 2024, argues that the program race-based eligibility criteria program violates the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. I want to jump down to one of the people arguing against it. They said, because they didn't meet the 6 plaintiffs, none of whom currently live in Evanston, claim they count as direct descendants and as defined by the reparations program, despite not identifying as black. The program is aimed at assisting black Evanston residents and their descendants who were impacted by discriminatory housing laws and predatory mortgage lending. Because they did not meet the program's racial identity requirement, plaintiffs said they were deterred from applying for benefits in 2021. Plaintiffs are injured because they are being denied the equal opportunity to participate in the program and receive the program's benefits based on their race. You gotta get it out of here, man. They're attacking every single program, anything that is race-based. It's simple. Lineage-based. That's where we gotta go. It's over. What else we got? Speaking of reparations, I'm gonna play these 3 videos. I uploaded one as a short, and I want to play it here. Hold on. Here we go.
the next question will be, if reparations were to really happen,
yes,
how would they look like? Experts have floated figures as high as 24 trillion US dollars to account for centuries of unpaid labor and resource extraction, though no consensus exists.
Yes.
We also have the National African American Reparations Commission proposing this particular figure.
Yes.
These funds are dished or disbursed, they could help maybe build Africa so that it could be a better place.
Yeah, but the problem.
So this woman just used a framework that African American groups in America obviously have created for what reparation numbers could be, and she's now used that as a possible standard for the entire continent of Africa. And how, if those reparations were given out, it could be given to repair Africa, the continent.
Problem is there's no framework.
There's no framework, of
Yes.
course, but there are hopes that it could potentially, come to fruition.
Yes.
Public opinion also remains very divided.
Mhm.
There was a 2021 Pooh survey that found only about 3 in 10 U.S. adults said descendants of enslaved people in the U.S. should receive repayment, in some form, such as land or money.
Mhm.
So it's safe to say that Americans view the prospect of reparations mostly very, very negative. They don't see like something that should even happen.
Next, let me show this next one.
In all these discussions of reparation, there's a view that is becoming prominent, which view is that we contributed in the slavery and that you cannot eat your cake and have it. You cannot sell slaves, collect money, chop it 100, 500 years later, and you come back and say, give me more money or give me money.
Who collected the slaves and where did they take them to?
No, and that we did the selling, and that the Europeans, when they came and docked at the castle, we went into the hinterlands and they accused your ethnic group Bantis that you were at the forefront.
No problem. You see how buddy tried to get that law off real quick? Who collected them and sold them? No, it was y'all.
Using Cape Coast and Elmina Castle to sell people. And so you are even middlemen, you buy and sell.
Sure.
So
So-
why would we, after doing a barter trade, which was legal at the time, come back and say, oh, pay us more?
All right, so
Why? In all
Exactly. I'm glad that there's a sense of self-awareness with this discussion. And I'm going to show you how they justify it too. This one right here, this is how they justify in their head this global effort, at least.
Manasseh, when he says those who benefited, that's an European conception.
It's a European conception. Hold on.
Manasseh, when he says those who benefited, that's an European conception of harm.
European concept of harm.
It's individualistic. So, even though slavery was, slaves were exploited for the benefit of the state, even in America today, to be able to establish, that you to benefit from any arrangement that compensates you as, a descendant of a slave, they must trace the root because it's individualistic. We Africans.
It doesn't work like that here.
It doesn't work like
you
that.
You touch
here.
one, you touch all.
Oh.
But how is it you touch one, you touch all in Africa when the tribal, like, bruh, I've seen some of these panels like this where there's these so-called tribal leaders or just spats back and forth, and they are very much my side versus your side. Our harm versus yours. This idea that they are the ones who have the different, we have a different concept of harm, and it's about the masses versus the individual. That's not what?
That's how we work. That's how Africans. That's
So it should be continent-wide.
Wide.
Or nation-wide.
No, it's continent.
Continent-wide.
That's why.
But he says.
That's why, for the first time, 56 African nations
agreed
were united in their belief that this is the way.
But Manasseh says, target the Caribbeans, target the Black Americans. They are the ones who suffered directly. They can trace it to their great-grandfather who was put in a ship and moved from Elmina all the way to God knows where. But not you, Inus Afuseni, who is in Ghana, who was not affected in any way from Tamale.
Those of our ancestors who could confer benefit on us, who were traded, who were moved to the United States, constituted a loss to us.
How? I've never understood. It's impossible to sell something, get payment, and consider it a loss. You don't buy a t-shirt, get the shirt, pay the money, and say, I'm in a loss. You gained the shirt. That's the point. You didn't sell people and lose. You sold people, got the little trinkets you wanted. That was your payment. You didn't lose nothing. You sold for what you deemed to be equal value. You didn't lose.
So the disagreement on my part is that if there are to be any reparatory payments, those of us in Africa should not receive it.
Thank God some of them think like that though. But enough of them. Enough of them. Well, more on them actually. Last one. Ghana's visa-free entry for all Africans set to take effect as government announces policy. Now, this is only for Africans. The quote-unquote African diaspora does not benefit from this visa-free entry. So on one hand, you're pushing global agreement. The transatlantic slave trade was the greatest crime to humanity. You're asking for reparations globally, but then when you have a visa-free entry to your country, you only count continental Africans, not those very people that are global. See, this is why I say the Pan-African thing is always it's one-sided. It's always one-sided. And this is right here what I was talking about earlier with the African Transactional Justice League Fund. Pan-African out of Accra, Ghana, is funded by the MacArthur Foundation. They've given them, as you can see here, about $6 million in grants and stuff. From 2020 to 2025, these people have been given about $6 million. So, yeah. What else we got? I think I can save this for next week. Hold on. I think I'm gonna save this part for next week. Yeah. What we gonna do? I'm gonna save that last segment for next week. What time is it? Yeah, about 2 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna save that last couple for next week. I gotta do something. Hold on. I'm gonna get up out of here. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. I gotta go. Hold on. I gotta go. So I'm gonna save this for next week. We're gonna talk about some of that. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Y'all be sure to like it on your way out. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're not. I'm back active after missing last week. Craig said, what up? Okay. Peace. Yeah, thanks for the show. Y'all have a good week. Appreciate y'all stopping by. We're gonna get up out of here. Hold on. We're gonna get up out of here. And as always, y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High. And peace, man.